This is Tom Fox. Welcome to the newest edition in the Compliance Podcast Network, my latest podcast, Compliance and Coronavirus. As the voice of compliance, I wanted to start a podcast which will help bring both clarity and sanity to the field of compliance, the compliance practitioner, and indeed the compliance profession during this worldwide health and healthcare crisis. Taking up a variety of topics as diverse as working from home to sporting events, to the role of the board of directors, to crisis management, to the role of supply chains. We will look at all of these in this podcast. If you have a topic you'd like covered on compliance and coronavirus, please let me know. I'd be happy to do a podcast on it. In today's episode, I have Jeff Miller. Jeff's a partner at Stone Turn, and we take a look at fraud risk and how a fraud risk examiner needs to step up for enhanced fraud risk during the era of coronavirus and economic dislocation. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I wanted to take this opportunity in this episode of Compliance and Coronavirus to talk about what I think is going to be one of the biggest changes for the compliance profession moving forward. And that is around the digitization and the digitalization of compliance. The Department of Justice has made clear that is their expectation, but more importantly, businesses are embracing digital transformation as a key component moving forward. And I would point you to a Fortune article which looked at a study by the National Center for the Middle Market, the NCMM, which is tracking the pandemic's effect on mid-sized companies. There are 200,000 or so American businesses that collectively account for about a third of the private sector GDP and employment and have created about 60% of the new jobs in the past decade. So it's a pretty big segment of the economy. And what the NMCC, which is a part of the Ohio State University Fisher College of Business, did was survey financial decision makers at 1,000 middle market companies in all industries and literally across the United States. This survey was part of the NCMM's regular middle market indicator, a pulse check which tracks growth, employment, investment, and innovation, confidence, and other factors. In June, there was a special set of questions around the pandemic's path, COVID-19, as it rages across the country. And I found the findings of the report incredibly interesting. So one discovery was, amid failing revenue and employment, capital spending cuts, and all of the negative disrupted interrupted operations, middle market companies are maintaining or even slightly accelerating their digital transformation. The digital transformation had the highest impact of any of the factors listed, and the factors were revenue, supply chain, growth initiatives, demand, business operations, capital spending, employment, hours, working capital, access to capital. But most interestingly, it had the lowest negative impact. So when you have something that has the highest positive impact and the lowest negative impact, that's obviously pretty good. And it was the highest net positive of any of the other factors listed. So companies are clearly embracing the digital transformation. What that means in compliance is that compliance officers need to embrace the digital transformation as well. Now, when you couple this with the two pieces of information released by the Department of Justice, the first being the 2020 update to the evaluation of corporate compliance programs released on June 1, 2020, and the second, the second edition of the FCPA Resource Guide, jointly produced by the DOJ and Securities and Exchange Commission, which was released on July 2nd, you clearly see data as becoming much more important to the compliance profession. And indeed, the 2020 update specifically had a section entitled Data Resources and Access, with the following questions. Do compliance and control personnel have sufficient direct or indirect access to relevant sources of data to allow for timely and effective monitoring and/or testings of policies, controls, and transitions? Do you have any impediments exist that limit access to relevant sources of data? And if so, what is the company doing to address these impediments? So let's take these two questions. What impediments out there? Is your data siloed? Does your accounts payable talk to your expense reimbursement? Does it talk to your marketing? Does it talk to your finance? Does it talk to your CSR or charitable or head of charitable donations about money that's gone out in that direction? But more than simply the digital component, you need to look at information and figure a way to digitize that as well. So how many people are calling into your hotline? Where are they coming from? What are the complaints? Who is looking at your policies and procedures? Where are they from? What questions are they raising? What policies are they looking at? What questions are coming into the compliance function? All of these things can be digitized and part of your digital transformation going forward. So I really think digital transformation is going to be one of the biggest things that comes out of the COVID-19 for the compliance professional. And let me leave you with one reason of why it will be so important. It's getting the attention of senior management. And when you can demonstrate digital transformation in compliance to senior management, then I think you will have something that really is something that will be funded. All of the benefits of digitized operations and improving efficiency and cutting costs come into play. The types of analysis you can do, the prevention, the detection and prevention, and even prescription of any issues arising. And as we come out of COVID-19, there will be a new normal. And for the compliance professional, I think that's going to be around the digital transformation of compliance. Companies are making long-term and long-lasting changes in how they organize work, how they interact with customers, and the customer for the compliance practitioner, of course, is company employees. But most importantly, around controls, a digital transformation of how you prevent, detect, and remediate in a best practices compliance program. So think about that and consider how you can digitally transform your compliance program. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox again. I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of Compliance and Coronavirus. This is the only B2B podcast which brings clear and sane information for both the compliance professional and the business executive. If I could ask you to do one thing, if you could tell one person about this podcast, I'm trying to get the word out about this most unique podcast in the Compliance Podcast Network. So if you could tell one person about it, send them a copy, send them a link, do something to help me publicize this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. Compliance and Coronavirus is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network, and it appears Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each week. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you'll join me again for another episode.